Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet finally stepped into the spotlight together, arm in arm, sealing the whispers of their romance with an electric red carpet debut that sent shockwaves across the entertainment world. After nearly 2 years of speculation, subtle appearances, and behind-the-scenes glimpses into their elusive relationship, the two megastars emerged as a unified front at the 70th David di Donatello Awards in Rome. It was a cinematic reveal, the kind of entrance that Hollywood dreams are made of, dripping with glamour, exclusivity, and an undeniable sense of occasion. Their appearance wasn't just a public acknowledgement of their relationship, it was a declaration. A carefully timed, perfectly styled revelation that instantly captured global attention. As they descended upon the red carpet, the cameras didn't just flash, they erupted. Paparazzi lenses snapped in rapid-fire succession, desperate to immortalize the moment that fans had been breathlessly waiting for. In that instant, Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet weren't just celebrities, they were the moment. They were what every media outlet had predicted and yet still somehow underestimated. There was something magnetic, something timeless in the way they moved together, hand in hand, bodies aligned as though choreographed by destiny. It wasn't just fashion, it wasn't just fame, it was chemistry, pure, raw, and beautifully undeniable. Chemistry that played out in high definition under the Roman sky. Kylie, a vision of sculptural elegance, wore a black Schiaparelli gown that hugged every curve like it had been poured onto her body. The material shimmered under the lights, sleek and rich, with just enough edge to match the drama of the moment. The dress, though minimalist in tone, spoke volumes in its craftsmanship, sophistication with a modern twist. Her silhouette was a blend of high fashion and raw femininity. The neckline framed her collarbone perfectly, while the floor-length hem added a sweep of drama to every step she took. Every camera flash captured her as if she were walking through a dream, and she knew it. She embraced it. Kylie wasn't just dressed for the event, she was commanding it. Timothy, standing beside her with his signature quiet intensity, looked like he had stepped straight out of a modern-day fairy tale. His velvet suit, a deep, midnight hue, was tailored to perfection, framing his slender figure with elegance. There was something almost princely about him, a poetic contrast to the high-octane sensuality of Kylie. Together, they struck a balance. Her fire to his calm, her boldness to his depth. His arm found its place naturally around her waist, fingers lightly pressing into her hip, and the gesture wasn't lost on anyone. It wasn't performative, it was protective, possessive, and intimate in the most subtle of ways. It was the kind of body language that speaks volumes, that tells a story without saying a word. For a couple that had mastered the art of being elusive, their red carpet presence felt deliberate, as though they had choreographed every second of it, and yet still allowed space for spontaneity. And in that rare space between calculated image and genuine emotion, they gave the world something real. Fans on social media exploded with reactions, memes, and threads dedicated to decoding every interaction, every glance, every hand placement. "They're that couple now," tweeted one fan. "I didn't believe it until this moment, but they just redefined soft power." Others pointed out how seamlessly they moved together, as if they'd been rehearsing this appearance behind closed doors for months. It wasn't just a fashion moment, it was a cultural one. Their decision to make their coupledom public in Rome at an award ceremony celebrating cinematic excellence was perhaps more symbolic than most realized. The David di Donatello Awards, often referred to as the Italian Oscars, are known for their emphasis on artistry and prestige rather than glitzy theatrics. This wasn't the Met Gala, dripping in costume and grandeur. This was something quieter, more meaningful. And in choosing this moment, Kylie and Timothy seemed to be saying, "This isn't just about being seen, it's about being understood." It was less spectacle, more sentiment. And yet, their absence at the Met Gala just days earlier had left fans wondering if something was amiss. The event, long known as a breeding ground for iconic fashion couples, would have been a logical place for their debut. But instead, Kylie walked the carpet solo, dazzling in her own right, but noticeably without her partner. Rumors swirled instantly. Was there trouble in paradise? Had the speculation outpaced reality? But those theories were quickly dismissed when reports surfaced that Timothée had skipped the gala to catch the NBA playoffs, a subtle nod to his laid-back persona and refusal to play by the rules of celebrity spectacle. And maybe that's what makes this relationship work. Kylie, born into a world of lights, lenses, and legacy, has always navigated fame with a kind of glossy resilience. Timothée, on the other hand, emerged from the indie film scene with a quiet storm of talent and an aversion to overexposure. Where she's built an empire on visibility, he's cultivated mystique. And somehow the contrast doesn't clash. It complements. It's what makes them so compelling. Their love story isn't traditional, nor is it entirely obvious, and that's precisely why it resonates. They represent two worlds colliding. Hollywood royalty meets cerebral heartthrob, and the result is as electric as it is unexpected. Fans who had been dissecting blurry paparazzi photos, brief sightings at Beyoncé, concerts, and grainy clips of them laughing at dinner dates finally had their confirmation. The couple that had become a low-key obsession for many was no longer hiding. They weren't performing, but they also weren't pretending to be private anymore. This was a slow-burn romance that had arrived at its boiling point, and the timing couldn't have been more poetic. The body language between them spoke louder than any publicist-written confirmation ever could. Timothée didn't just stand next to Kylie. He leaned into her, his posture relaxed but engaged, like every part of him was drawn to her energy. Kylie, often poised and camera-aware, allowed herself to soften. Her smile, wide, real, unfiltered, said everything. This wasn't a calculated PR stunt. This was personal, and the world noticed. Fashion critics raved about their coordination, not just in clothing, but in presence. Style blogs noted how their looks mirrored each other's energy, Timothée's. Rich, regal texture matching Kylie's sleek, statuesque gown. Even their accessories seemed in sync. It was the kind of fashion harmony that rarely happens by accident. And for once, it felt like the fashion wasn't wearing them. They were owning it, entirely and unapologetically. The timing of this debut also feels like a full-circle moment. For 2 years, they had danced around public appearances, choosing whispers over statements. They had managed to keep their relationship mostly free from the circus of social media. No joint posts, no over-the-top displays, just occasional sightings that left fans craving more. And now, without a word, they said everything. They're here, they're together, and they're not hiding anymore. As the event unfolded, footage showed the couple whispering to one another, sharing inside jokes, laughing in that easy way that couples who truly know each other do. It wasn't stiff or posed, it was organic. Real. Even from a distance, you could feel the connection. You could tell this wasn't just a red carpet arrangement. This was two people who enjoy each other, who've built something that feels solid, even in the fickle world of fame. And as they left the carpet, hands still linked, the moment felt both fleeting and eternal. In that brief passage, captured by dozens of cameras, they had etched themselves into pop culture history. They had turned whispers into roars. The story of Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet had officially gone from rumor to romance, from speculation to spectacle. And fans everywhere are still catching their breath. Because when you strip away the fashion, the fame, and the flashing lights, what you're left with is something rare in Hollywood, genuine connection. And in a world that thrives on illusion, that kind of authenticity is pure gold. Kylie and Timothée didn't just walk the red carpet, they rewrote what it means to make a statement. And the world? The world listened.